Well, good afternoon, everyone. And I want to thank everyone for coming out to our, what is today? August 2nd. Our August 2nd public briefing. We have a lot of information to cover today. It's National Night Out, among other things. So let's get right to it with the public health update first and a review of our COVID-19 status. All right, so here are the COVID-19 numbers for the city of Richmond, according to the Virginia Department of Health. Here in the city, we've seen 53,067 cases of the coronavirus since the beginning of the pandemic. Our 7-day average of new daily cases stands at 92. And as a custom, I'd like to take a moment of silence to remember those we've lost during the course of this pandemic. Today, we stand at 520 members of the Richmond community have lost their lives to COVID-19. May we take a moment. Thank you. And I want to be that broken record and remind folks that that the best protection against serious illness, against death, against hospitalization from the virus remains getting vaccinated. As always, you can learn about vaccinations and testing opportunities by going to www.vaxvax.rchd.com or by calling the Richmond Henrico Health Department on their hotline at 804-205-3501, 804-205-3501. All right, that's our public health update. Now I want to shift gears. As I mentioned at the top, tonight is our 39th annual National Night Out, a night of crime. It's a crime prevention event here in the city of Richmond, and we have dozens of community events scheduled throughout the city. I think more than 52 events across neighborhoods throughout the city of Richmond. Many neighborhoods throughout the city will be hosting a variety of special events such as block parties, cookouts, parades, flashlight walks, contests, and youth activities where there will be visits by the Richmond Police Department and first responders, Fire Department, Department of Emergency Communications, Richmond Ambulance Authority, the Sheriff's Office, all will be out tonight on this night to celebrate crime prevention in our community. Now, for those who don't know anything about National Night Out, it is designed to heighten crime and drug prevention awareness. It generates participation in local anti-crime efforts and strengthens the neighborhood spirit and police community partnerships. Now, for those of you who are keeping score at home, I will be starting my evening issuing a proclamation for National Night Out at Mount Olivet Baptist Church on North 25th Street. I'll be doing that at 5 p.m. this evening. I hope to wrap up my night close to 8:30-ish down in South Richmond with the Richmond Highway Civic Association. Now, my goal is to get to 8. I don't know whether I'll make the 8 or not, but my goal in the past, I've been able to do about 7 or 6. I think I can get to 8 tonight. I'll be joined by our police chief and a number of local officials, government officials who will join us this evening to celebrate our city, celebrate our neighborhoods, but also celebrate safe communities as well. If you do not know where you may want to go tonight, you go to rva.gov. There should be a listing of events there as well. In addition, I know a lot of the civic associations, neighborhoods have put out information about their specific local events. Please stop by and participate. We'll love to see everyone there, and I look forward to seeing you there. Finally, I am going to wrap up this quick briefing today talking about an issue that's very important to us, and that is how we go about mitigating gun violence here, reducing gun violence in the city of Richmond. Today, I'm pleased to announce that the city's gun buyback program, a voluntary gun buyback program, will be held here in the city of Richmond on Saturday, August 20th. As you all know, nearly every city in our nation is experiencing a rise in gun violence, and Richmond is no exception. Now, there are many factors behind this, but one thing that cannot be denied is that we have too many guns in the hands of too many individuals who should not possess those guns. So, our goals with this buyback program: first, we want to reduce the availability of guns in our community. Second, we want to provide for the safe disposal of firearms. And lastly, mobilize our communities and raise awareness of the dangers of firearms in the hands of those who shouldn't have them, or those who do not properly store or care for their firearms. Now, we considered the following when deciding to host this gun buyback program. It is a fact that a gun in the home triples the risk of suicide, doubles the risk of homicide for household members. Another fact: 7 of every 10 unintentional child shootings occurred at home. And the last fact I want to share with you this afternoon: it's also a fact that more than half of all gun owners don't properly store their firearms. Now, this important initiative that we are about to embark upon is just one part of our broad gun violence prevention and intervention strategy. Now, here's what you need to know about the event itself. The event will be held on Saturday, August 20th, starting at 10 a.m. at Liberation Church on 5501 Midlothian Turnpike. That's Liberation Church, 5501 Midlothian Turnpike. Now, you must be 18 years or older to turn in a weapon. You must be 18 to turn in a weapon or older. And individuals who are turning over weapons need to place the unloaded gun in the trunk of their car when coming to the event. Now, I know some of you may think these are simple instructions, LeVar, but they are not simple instructions. People do, unfortunately, accidentally shoot themselves or endanger themselves, injure themselves by handling their own weapon. That's why I'm going to make sure I go through these as slowly as possible, so when you come, you arrive at Liberation Church and provide us your weapon, and you do it in a safe manner. Now, when you provide your weapon at the Voluntary Gun Buyback Program event on August 20th, you will receive a gift card for turning over that weapon. And the amount of the gift card depends on the type of firearm you provide. Those who turn in an assault weapon will receive a total of $250 worth of gift cards. Those who turn over handguns will get $200 worth of gift cards. And those who turn over rifles will receive $150 in gift cards, and those with inoperable firearms will receive $25 in gift cards. Now, participants who choose gift cards from one or more of the following stores: we have Amazon participating, Walmart, Foot Locker, or Kroger. Those are the gift cards that will be provided. And you can do a combination of those, I hear, when you submit your weapon. We have flyers that will be going out in the community, and hope that we have a good turnout for this event on August 20th. Now, I will remind you that this event is being administered by the nonprofit Robbie Poblete Foundation. And also, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank in advance our partners at Liberation Church with Pastor J. Patrick. Pastor Patrick, thank you for hosting us once again. And I also want to let you know that in the coming weeks, we will continue to post informational flyers on rva.gov and all the city's social media channels as well. So that's our event, August 20th at Liberation Church, starting at 10 a.m. at 5501 Midlothian Turnpike. We plan to have a large turnout. I'm looking forward to it. And let's do this safely and turn over those guns voluntarily. With that, we'll take some questions. The question is, does that number compare, the dollar amount compared to the amounts that are of guns being shown illegally sold illegally on the streets? Well, first, Tyler, I've never bought an illegal gun, so I wouldn't know the price of how much an illegal gun costs. However, we can compare the gun buyback program to other programs across the nation, and we are at the market level or above what a lot of other cities have done.
Have you been able to see any, looking at some of these other localities that have implemented this program, any data or evidence that this in fact does reduce gun violence in their area?
The question is whether or not this program, the buyback programs, reduce gun violence in cities that have implemented such programs in the past. What we have seen is that, well, first, we'll remind you what our goal is: to get weapons off the street. There are far too many guns in the city of Richmond, but also all across this country. There are more guns than people in the United States of America, and I venture to guess there are more guns than Richmonders in the city of Richmond. So any gun that we remove from the streets is a gun that will not be involved in the death of an individual in the city of Richmond. The country is dealing with an epidemic of gun violence, and we know what's the nexus, what's at the center of the gun violence, not only in the city, but in the country, and that is the firearm, the gun. So if you voluntarily provide us your weapon, you will receive a gift card or a combination of gift cards in return.
Is there any anticipation about how many guns that you are expected to?
You know, like I said, the question is, are we anticipating, is there an amount of guns we're expecting to be returned? We don't have a particular target number, but we do have at least anecdotal evidence of places like Sacramento, California, which did one of these buyback programs, and they were out of the gift cards in 45 minutes because at least 1,000 people showed up to turn over their weapons. And so, as I've stated in the past, this strategy alone is not the panacea for gun violence. An epidemic that's all across this nation, rural areas, suburban areas, and urban localities like Richmond. This is not the panacea, but just one strategy to remove firearms from the streets.
Henry. Mayor, two questions. First, on this event here that you're talking about, I know you're talking about the gun buyback program, but there are other spokes to everything here.
That's right.
Can you talk about, I know you mentioned last week maybe the violence interrupters, you guys are in the final stages of hiring. What are those other things you all are doing to help curb gun violence here in the city?
Well, you know what? The question is, what are other things we're using to curb gun violence here in the city? I said early on that I would throw the kitchen sink at this gun violence in Richmond, an epidemic all across this country. And for us, we recognize that we have to be tough on crime and tough on the root causes of crime as well. So we do have a law enforcement approach, and you've heard about Operation Red Ball that is focused on removing threats to our community from the community. Those individuals who are willing to pull a trigger, willing to take a life, we want to make sure that they are held accountable. Secondly, we're focused on a human services approach where we will use nonprofit and grassroots organizations. You know that Next Up has been in the first round. They've already disseminated dollars to local grassroots organizations focused on youth empowerment and youth mentorship. We are focused on our after-school programs, which at our elementary schools and our middle schools as well. We put more money into parks and recreation. We got programs like RVA League for Safer Streets, which takes those individuals who may have been involved with the criminal justice system in the past and putting them all in the same place just to play basketball and treat each other as human beings with dignity. So we're throwing the whole kitchen sink at all this, and the violence interrupters in the final stages there. And we got the gun buyback program coming on August 20th.
Last question, Henry.
My question actually is about the event tomorrow. The suspects in the Dogwood Dell mass shootings plot have a preliminary hearing. I think we all hope to learn a little bit more about what was going on there and where things stand. They're still only charged as being non-U.S. citizens, illegally having a weapon. I guess my question to you is, are you also hopeful to learn more details tomorrow? Have you had any talks with the chief since the press conference about kind of what is going to come out at the end of the day?
The question is, have I spoken to the chief about what's going to come out after the plot to endanger those who are on the 4th of July. I have not spoken to the chief about it, but I remain grateful and appreciative of the work of the Richmond Police Department, good police work, removing those threats from our community. And I'm going to watch, like every other citizen here in Richmond, and watch the criminal justice system play itself out.
Thanks very much, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you, everyone.